Hello, everyone. It looks like almost everyone is here. Thanks for coming to my Verasys webinar. My name is Rena Hafer, and I am Vice President of Business Development for Energy Control Technologies. Now, a little background on me. I am not a controls engineer or a contractor. My background is actually more software development, but I'm really excited to show you Verasys because this is a system where you don't have to be a controls engineer or a contractor to understand the value of this system. I believe Verasys has a tremendous future in building automation because of the simplicity, the evolving growth, the enhancements that are being made, new controllers. I do believe Verasys is going to change the market for building controls because it opens up opportunities for almost any HVAC and mechanical contractor, and it makes building controls affordable, finally, for end users that don't want to spend a fortune on these systems. So I'm going to get right into it here. What is Verasys? Verasys is a lightweight BAS system. And that means Verasys is designed for the light to mid commercial facility market, but you're going to see that Verasys can be implemented in some larger, more complex buildings. But it's the ease of use and the ease of installation that is the key benefit of Verasys. Like other control systems, it can do trending, scheduling, it can handle data sharing, some logic statements and load shedding, but all of these things do make it a true building automation system, but the complexity of the logic has all been pre-configured. It's not something that you necessarily as an installer have to design and implement. It's pre-configured. So it's easy to install without a controls engineer and without requiring a tremendous amount of labor. The plug and play concept. This is amazing with Verasys because the system is composed with smart equipment and field controllers. For example, Johnson Controls owns York equipment. York HVAC equipment is already designed to be smart equipment ready, and it's ready to integrate with Verasys. And other examples of Verasys smart equipment include TEC thermostats and other controls that I'll discuss today. But Verasys really talks to any equipment that's on the BACnet MSTP communication network. For any BACnet device, all you have to do is add it to the system and it automatically pulls into the Smart Building Hub and into the cloud the same way. The system is configurable, no programming, and really not much to configure. Most of the setup includes changing parameters. So Verasys offers a library of air handler applications that can be downloaded and implemented for more advanced control, and they can be configured through a cell phone, really by answering questions. Definitely easy for a professional in HVAC services. This system is intelligent. Intelligent dashboards means the graphics are already built. The dashboard is done. When you pull in a lighting controller or a refrigeration controller, the system automatically puts everything into pre-built tabs for you. Very clean, very intuitive, and I will show you a brief example at the end of this session so you can see, but the graphics need no configuration. Verasys is perfect for multi-site applications. If you have a customer, perhaps maybe a franchise that has several buildings, the enterprise cloud service will bring all of them in as if they're one unified control system. For example, if you have a customer like 7-Eleven and they have 50 stores, each store has 3 rooftop units. The enterprise cloud brings them all into one interface. So from there, you can manage 150 rooftops. You can update 150 space temperatures with one click, 150 schedules all at once. And then you can also see the status of the heating, the cooling, the fans, all with one login. This is very nice. Verasys is excellent for these types of customers. And then you have here long-term data. All of the controllers have a 3 to 4 day trending data capacity, but for long-term, the enterprise cloud system works great for this. So moving on here, this is a diagram that shows a typical BAS architecture. This is not Verasys. In this example, I have an FX controller. So this would be a Niagara system. But this could be anything. It could be an FX, it could be a Honeywell Webs or a Distech. Regardless, this is a typical configuration for your Niagara system. Now, the primary difference between this system and Verasys is the supervisory controllers or the network engine. These devices, this is a JACE. This is essentially the site director for all of the equipment that lives downstream of it. And they are powerful. They may talk multiple protocols, but these engines require a lot of setup and addressing in order to manage all the points on the field devices. Mapping and addressing needs to be done before you can create your schedules, your alarming, and your trends in this JACE or in a supervisor controller. So it can be very expensive. It could take a lot of time, and it also requires somebody who has quite a bit of training. So in addition to the labor, licensing for these controllers can be very expensive and really may not be necessary for simple building integrations that don't require all of that complexity. So here you have Verasys. As you can see here, there is no supervisor, there's no network engine, but like the supervisor controllers, the Smart Building Hub hosts the web server. However, the difference is that the field controllers used in Verasys are what we call smart equipment. You may see this logo often. And this is really what makes a Verasys system plug and play. The smart equipment holds all of the configuration, the data, the settings, all the intelligence is stored within these smart equipment devices. And what I mean by plug and play is that when one of these smart equipment devices are added to the BACnet MSTP network, it automatically becomes available in the Smart Building Hub. All you have to do is assign it. There's no app to buy, there's no software, subscription licenses, no expensive labor investment. It's just a much lower cost integration. And really, you know, what used to be if a small building wanted an automation system, they would need to invest $50,000 or more. And now with Verasys, the cost could be as low as $5,000, especially if some buildings, they just don't require extensive customizations in their systems. So it's really a huge savings. Verasys advantages. It was designed to have quality without the complexities that I just described in a standard automation system. It can be installed by a mechanical or HVAC contractor. There is a growing suite of equipment that both the technology and the drivers and firmware, there's so many advancements that are persistently going on that Johnson Controls is providing for this system. It's obviously reduced installation costs per square foot, and it also delivers a system with built-in troubleshooting. So I'm going to give you some examples of fault detection that features that Verasys smart equipment has as well. In Verasys Applications, on the left side, I have a list of your factory package equipment and control. And so basically, as I mentioned before, Johnson Controls owns York. Any of the York RTU units will play very well with Verasys, including your constant volume, VAVs, heat pumps. Also with the field installed controllers, you can do VAV changeover bypass zoning systems. In your pre-configured field installed controllers, you have third-party rooftops that can be integrated. And now that Verasys is able to pull in any third-party BACnet integration, it just makes it so much easier. In the beginning, Verasys required something in between the Smart Building Hub and a third-party unit like a Train or a Carrier or Lennox, or a thermostat or something like that would need to be there because it couldn't communicate. But now you can have fan coils or VAV boxes that are set up on a Verasys zone coordinator, and then have a Train rooftop that's BACnet MSTP, and you can pull it right in. In addition, there are, you can control your terminal units, chillers. The chiller app is currently in production, but you have your boilers, lighting, energy meters. But these also, if you are an FX Niagara programmer and you already have an amazing application that you use for boilers, all you have to do is put it on a USB stick and you can add it to the controller. There's so much flexibility in what you can do with the field installed controllers. And here I'm going to describe the ecosystem that works with Verasys, starting with, you'll sometimes see it referred to as Simplicity Smart Equipment. The equipment that can be on the BACnet MSTP network for the Smart Building Hub is limited to about 100 devices. But if you think about it, 100 rooftop units, that is a pretty large buildings. But you can also expand it further if you wanted to add more Smart Building Hubs. You could have a building with 250 rooftops But you would simply include 4 smart building hubs and pull them into the cloud to make them look like one. The TEC thermostats really are more of a smart controller than they are a stat, because using these, you can manage heat pumps, rooftops, economizers. They're limited to 2 heat, 2 cool, but they're pretty powerful for to use for some smaller equipment. All of these devices that just kind of popped up below, these are used for VAV or changeover bypass systems. And since Verasys has a tremendous amount of resources online, these can be used with a variety of downloadable pre-built applications. So all you have to do is go to the Verasys Controls Resource Center, download a file for an air handler or a constant volume app, and there are 2 controllers you can download it into, and you can do all kinds of things with this app. You can even make a controller, a boiler controller, a lighting controller. We do have a lighting controller, and this can come with or without a panel. You can get them with the handoff auto switches put right in. The IOM controller is really designed simply to monitor points with simple interlocks. You can add wired or wireless sensors to the IOM. You can have 5 wireless and 5 wired sensors, but it also works great as an energy meter. Using the IOM, you can add a Senva meter and enter a 3-digit code, and it automatically pulls in everything from the building's power. The easiest energy meter ever. And then you have your all of your power being plotted in charts, and it looks great. And finally, you have refrigeration. In a case of a gas station, if you just have a simple cooler, you could monitor that with a sensor and IOM. But if it's a big walk-in cooler with an evaporator coil, and you need to control a compressor and fans, you can do all of that with the 525. Wireless compatibility. Now, Johnson Controls is consistently working on more and more wireless devices. You can see here that in the zoning application, this isn't necessarily wireless to the controller, but you could easily add wireless sensors to integrate into the zoning applications, including the IOM and constant volume controllers. The wireless sensors would work great. With a TEC, though, however, and the wireless coordinator added to that network, you can do wireless all the way to the hub. You don't even have to have a BACnet MSTP network. Same thing with the smart equipment. You just need to have that wireless coordinator, and you can bring all that data in virtually with a wire-free system and minimal labor. Connectivity with the Smart Building Hub. So think of the Smart Building Hub as really the head of the system, but it shouldn't be likened to a supervisor controller, because it broadcasts and stores data and schedules for the Verasys controllers, but it's more of an access point into the system where all those components are consolidated. The Smart Building Hub has Wi-Fi hotspot built right in, but you don't have to use that. It's really just a USB dongle. You could pull it off if you don't want, if your customer doesn't prefer it, or you can put it on the local area network. However, you do have to have it either Wi-Fi or local area network connected in order to be able to process alarms, or and that really is for any control system. To handle email or text, you would need to have an IP address and that local area network or Wi-Fi connectivity. But once all that is established, the system is online, the data is accessible via any web browser, including your mobile phone or your tablet. Now, this is just a little overview on zoning for a changeover bypass system. Zoning in Verasys is very popular. And now in this example, zoning, it may consist of a bypass controller that you may or may not need, but each zone coordinator over here, the zone coordinator on a changeover bypass system can manage up to 32 zones. It consists of a single zone rooftop that's either going to be heating or cooling the space, but each zone may be calling for something different. Some may be heating, cooling. You can set up voting type things, or whoever gets more votes, or who's away from set point more. But all of this gets fed into this zone coordinator, and the zone coordinator tells the rooftop. In this example, it's a Simplicity Smart Equipment rooftop, tells it what to do. Now, for a third-party rooftop, it's a little bit different. If you have a Train or a Carrier or Lennox with a changeover bypass system, it can still handle up to 32 zones on that bus. But with these, you can't talk directly from the zone coordinator to the unit. You have to have a controller to make that tie-in. that tie in to connect the two. So really on any type of zoning system, we can now load more applications where we can do heat pumps. You can do mod heat, mod cool, rooftops or air handlers, mod heat, stage cool. These applications are available to make the units do whatever needs to be done with this controller. Now, on a zoning for a VAV system, this also can handle up to 32 zones. But these zones are also, as before, fed into the coordinator. The coordinator tells the rooftop what to do, same as before. But what's nice about the VAV system is the new BACnet MSTP integration. Now that we have a VAV controller, we can do any kind of VAV box configuration possible, and it can be standalone. But now, if you pull in a Train rooftop unit that has BACnet MSTP, and the smart building hub can now talk straight to the rooftop. I can get rid of the coordinator and the equipment controller, and only have the VAV system. But that's just a great savings. This BACnet MSTP integration has been incredibly valuable for this type of application. So this talks a little bit more about how these components connect together. In this architecture, you see, you have the IP backbone. Of course, this is what's needed to have your remote, to be able to access remotely, and your email and text. But this system bus here, this is the BACnet MSTP system. You can have 100 devices on this BACnet MSTP system bus, all daisy chained. However, you notice here, these are the zone coordinators. These are also one of these devices. But with this bus structure and zoning, this zone bus here, it allows us to do even more, because the coordinator picks up the equipment and all the zones. It's its own little separate network. And remember, these zones are all getting fed into the coordinator, which is telling the rooftop what to do. So just for reference here, you can have 10 of these zone coordinators on your MSTP bus. And underneath those, you can have 32 devices. So now we're talking about more than 300 devices on the network with just those 10 zone coordinators. So this is pretty powerful, and it really opens up Verasys as an option for more complex facilities. And then the other bus here is your SA bus is bringing the sensors into the controllers as well. But this is exciting because it really does expand the system to become, pretty substantial. Important for you to know that honestly, I've never seen as many online resources as what Verasys offers. I've never seen it with any other brand. Now, of course, you have your product literature in your user guides, but they provide for you flow drawings, templates with sequence of operations. All of that is done for you. And as more applications are created and they're available and added to the library, you can download them. There's even, your firmware and your apps that you can download, as I mentioned before. The estimation spreadsheet, there's a selection tool. If you want to do a zoning system or a VAV system, you can use this to enter your equipment and it spits out everything you need. Excuse me. In addition, there are so many how-to videos. And there's even a full 3-level training program, and all of this is free. It's all available to you for free. And this is pretty much unheard of in the controls industry. It's very impressive. There's also an 800 number that can be called for support. But of course, if you're working with energycontrol.com, you can always call me. I encourage you to call me, email me, reach out anytime, because I'm always going to make sure you get the support you need to be successful. And here's an example of one of the drawing templates that are downloadable. This is a flow drawing with sequence of operations. These are all done. The reason, though, is because all of these configurations are already tied to your inputs and outputs. You can't move them around like you may be able to do with other control systems, but that's really what makes Verasys so much easier to implement. Here's an example of plug and play. So plug and play means the field controllers, they hold all the configuration needed for the hub to translate. So if you have like in this example, a walk-in cooler, and you want to integrate simple control, all you need to do is add a wireless sensor, a little receiver, plug that in the IOM, and you have instant wireless access to the cooler sensor. It's pulled right into the hub. All you have to do is name it. It's really that simple. So the library of applications, these are just an example of a variety that are available to be downloaded from the library, and these are continually evolving and improving. All you have to do, if you download a lighting controller app, an IOM controller, Sideloop boiler chiller, download it to a USB stick, plug it into the controller, and load it in. And it's just incredible how much more you can do with having this library available to you. And here, these are just some examples of apps for more complex applications like boilers and chillers. These are just extremely powerful tools for integration, but I'm not going to speak too deeply on these. I am happy to send you more information, but it's just, there's so much more that's available out there to just enhance the versatility of these controllers. This is the example of our VAV controller. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these components now. The VAV controller handles all types of boxes, single, parallel, fan box, serial box, and it can be standalone. The IOM controller is extremely easy to allow energy monitoring for your customer. And all it takes is a Senva energy meter. You'd simply plug it in and you enter a code and you're done. And you've got power data and you're charting it and it looks great. Your NS8000 sensors, we sell a lot of these, and I will be happy to send you more information on these after the webinar. These sensors can be used for temperature, humidity, CO2 all in one if you want, and they pull right into Verasys. Really nice, slick thermostats or sensors. The PEN A525 controls basically all aspects of refrigeration for walk-in coolers, freezers. It can enable remote monitoring, time-based adaptive refrost, alarming, messaging, and really, as if with all of our other products, I am more than happy to provide information on the refrigeration controllers as well. Now, what's really exciting is that Verasys already fulfills many of the requirements that are now expected from the ASHRAE codes for building readiness during pandemic conditions. And we all know this is a big deal now, but you can see, I'm going to show you some of these features that really have helped to make Verasys a great choice for meeting these codes. The TEC 3000 is really one of the key technologies that fulfills the requirement for these ASHRAE codes for pandemic conditions, and they are very popular. These can be set up to be wired or wireless. They're programmable. They have a built-in occupancy sensor, USB port for quick configuration, trending, embedded. It also can be integrated with not only BACnet MSTP, but also an N2 bus for other building automation integration. And Verasys TEC thermostats have been approved to be used in all the Hilton hotels now as well. So it's really exciting that we're going to be seeing more Verasys on the Hilton properties. What's new now on the TEC 3000s with a 4.0 update is that they're really better suited than ever for these ASHRAE codes, because these mini controllers have a built-in functionality to handle demand control ventilation based on CO2. So it can trigger air purge when occupancy is detected. And it's just really exciting to know these TECs are really going to be so well suited for the building health market now. And finally, the TECs can also host schedules and trends, but they have fault detection algorithms built into these controllers. So if you have a smart thermostat and a discharge air sensor that's calling for heating, and it sees that the discharge air temperature isn't rising, it'll send you an email or an alarm. And as an HVAC contractor, I know you know it's always good to be the hero for your customer by alerting them when your system has a problem or their system has a problem before they even know that it's an issue. So this is a really exciting feature about Verasys. Verasys can be implemented as a subsystem of a larger control system. Verasys is currently found in college campuses where there are smaller facilities that are connected to a larger building network. And in these situations, Verasys is a really low-cost solution for controlling one building for zoning or something like that. And then the Smart Building Hub has a feature called BACnet IP Out. This connects the system and all of its data to a JACE or another supervisor or network engine that's managing the entire facility as a whole. And again, this provides more opportunities for you as a mechanical contractor, to be a Verasys provider within a larger controls integration. In addition, The third-party BACnet MSTP controllers can be added to the Verasys system. Once you pull the data in from those controllers, the hub automatically discovers it. And once the points are discovered, the Smart Building Hub allows you to create profiles on these devices in order to present the data the way you want. In this example here, there are 2 third-party RTU units that have been pulled into the hub. And what the user would do is simply click on the actual unit, just decide which inputs and outputs you want. You know, there may be 100, but you don't need 100. Just pick 15 that are going to be useful for your customer. And then you can build a profile based only on the points that you want to use. Once you have those points, then you can create the profile and copy it from one Smart Building Hub to another, or you can even add your alarms. You can add trends, set high and low limits to alarms and schedules and all the things that you could do with any of the other controllers once you've selected and created that profile for the points that you want to use on those third-party BACnet objects. And this is just an example of the third-party controller integration. I mean, it's virtually limitless. I mean, you can pretty much pull in most any essential equipment component that you would need for your building automation system. And another feature of the new Verasys 4.0 is the zoning system. It can be set now into groups. So now you can have each zone controlled individually and on its own schedule. So for example, in this facility that has all these different various departments, a manager may want to occupy the space for zone 3 when it's normally unoccupied, but instead of occupying the entire facility, it can be isolated to that particular zone. And this is just great energy savings. And it's an example of how Verasys can function as a true energy management system. So 4.0 also includes the ability to clone or copy. You can basically duplicate the profile of points on one controller, copy to another, and it obviously is going to be a time saver if you have multiple controllers that are going to be functioning in the same way with the same type of equipment. So it also ensures consistency. And intelligent cloning will remove any of the information that should not be copied and only includes the important attributes. So it's an incredible time saver in terms of your installation, having this feature. Now, Verasys Enterprise, finally, this cloud enterprise service is subscription-based, but it is extremely cost efficient. It's very powerful, allows you to bring many different smart building hubs into one interface. And you can make a network of hundreds of facilities unified into one system for the customer to access. And the cloud enterprise service has an intelligent dashboard, again, already built for you. It includes alarms where you can see the whole network of various alarms across your facilities. Bulk commanding, like I mentioned before, one click to change 150 set points as needed. API integration, the cloud service would allow any large customer who may have another system they want to integrate their building data with, you can access the API integration and take advantage of having that data available. Plug and play, I'm going to go a little bit more into an example of that, but likewise with the enterprise system, you simply enable the Smart Building Hub for the cloud enterprise and it pulls it right in, easy. And long-term data. So with the cloud enterprise, you have 3 years of historical data as compared to the few days that you get on each individual controller. Really exciting to have access to this multi-site enterprise system. So in this example, this is actually a video of what plug and play is and the advantages. I just think it's very important for people who are learning about what Verasys is to really understand this concept. So this is really a video clip that's available on verasyscontrols.com video library. But I wanted to use this to show you a condensed example of the user interface within the Smart Hub. And I think it's also a great example to illustrate the concept of this plug and play. So as I said before, in a Niagara environment, the supervisor controller keeps track of all the data on the bus and organizes it. And in the supervisor, you must map each point from the field controller to a particular address before you can do anything with it. And then after it's mapped, then you can create alarms, add trends or schedules. It's just a lot of work to organize all this data using a supervisory controller. So I want to show you now how easy it is with Verasys to add new smart equipment device to a network. So in this situation here, you see there's a TEC controller on the top. I'm going to click into this, and you'll notice that this could be a newly plugged in TEC. It already brought all the view definition. It came right in from the TEC controller. The Smart Building Hub did not have this, did not give it the instructions for that. But then also trends. Here these are coming from the controller to be pulled and viewed. So it's all being stored on the computer, a limited few set of days, but all that data is already there and it's just easily brought in. Schedules. Schedules are also stored and available on the smart equipment, but they're completely independent from the Smart Building Hub. But yet from here, you can add, change, or modify schedules. But even to view the current settings or parameters that are stored on these devices, once pulled in, then you can change how the equipment is set up. You can change how the equipment should operate. These settings aren't initialized using the Smart Building Hub, but they're already there. And in this example, you can see that you can change the language. You can change your passwords and your brightness and units. All of these things are configurable using the Smart Building Hub, but they reside on the actual units themselves. So really, the best way really to describe the smart equipment, as I mentioned earlier, the Niagara supervisor environment, you have to map each point and you have to give each point an address on the network. But with plug and play here in Verasys, you can go to the network setup, simply change the BACnet address. You can change it from 4 to 5. So when you go back to your device list, you can see that the TEC shows up now on network 5. It's going to go offline on number 4 now. But after you've made this change, given an entirely new address, you can go back in and see that all of this data still comes in the same. All the view definitions are still there. All of the trends are still there. Everything, you can even take this device off the network and put it on a different trunk, and all of the data will still be there. That is what smart equipment is, and that's really what plug and play is. And so hopefully this example gives you an idea of understanding how easy it is and the value of using the smart equipment in a Verasys type environment. So this concludes my Verasys overview presentation. Obviously, there's so much more to learn, and it's all available on energycontrol.com in terms of your data sheets and information on controls. You can go to verasyscontrols.com and johnsoncontrols.com to get even more. However, my job is to get you all the help and the direction that you guys need to get started with your Verasys controls business. So please call me, email me, visit energycontrol.com to get more information. And I just really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great week, and thank you for your time today.